Welcome to the Global Citizen Life podcast. Today on the show, we have Valerie Prasetyo. Valerie is the founder and CEO of Kolibri Production Group. I hope I pronounced that right. That is specializing in creating documentaries for individuals, brands, and also for digital TV platforms. She provides training and mentorship for companies and individuals who want to reach their goals more effectively, unite with their true superpowers, and become creators of their own reality using modern methods of psychology, numerology, and neurographics. All the tools she's been using and building her own success, whether as a professional athlete, becoming a world champion 2 times, as well as in her businesses, leading women empowerment platforms, creating offline and virtual events, changing thousands of people's lives. Valerie is also a podcaster and international speaker who spoke on stages with 2,000 to 4,000 attendees. She's also interviewed over 200 people, including A-list celebrities like John Travolta, the secret movie star Bob Doyle, and industry celebrities like Kristina Mänd Lakhiani, Natasha Graziano, and former right-hand U.S. President Johanna Maska, and many others. Welcome to the show today, Valerie.
Thank you very much for invitation. Happy to be here.
So, Valerie, you've journeyed around the globe almost, it seems. You've lived in a few different places. So, tell us a little bit about kind of how that journey began, where you started from, and the different places you called home.
Well, I was born in Central Asia in Kazakhstan, but I'm Korean. So for me, it was already kind of feeling that I'm kind of, this is kind of my motherland, but also I'm not really feeling home, honestly saying. So I have been searching for this place that you can call, home, sweet call home for a while. And I would say that as long as you have a passion or vision or you want to go for something, the heart leads you. And that's how it happened with me. So at some point I moved to South Korea because I was thinking, hey, I'm Korean. Why not to live where my roots are from? And this was one experience, but then I had a dream to, go back to big sport. And as there was no really opportunities for that, I moved to Europe. I lived in Poland and then I met my husband and we started to dance together, moved to Germany. Then the journey brought us to UAE. We lived in Dubai. Now we're back to Poland. So, and who knows where we're going next time.
Well, that's great. So, and those places are very different.
Yes.
It's not like going from Canada to the United States, which is almost the same. Those are very different places. So, what do you find were some of the easier places to relocate to, and which ones of those were harder?
Well, I think there is nothing like easy or hardest, I would say. Every single move, it's from one side, it's stress. From the other side, it's something really exciting. And every country, of course, has different regulations. And I think the pain is always, bureaucracy. Like in Germany, I would say was probably the hardest if like answering your question. But at the same time, it's very different. It also depends how adaptive you are, how you are open to actually go out there, meet people, learn language. And I would say if you are planning to move somewhere, you have to learn at least the basic level of speaking with people. Because when I believe that, at least my values, if you move to a new country, it means like you moved, not they came to your home. You came to their home. So just like following the normal things like speak the language, connect with people, and try to, discover the culture. Through discovering the culture and also language, you can understand how people are thinking. It also helps to, contributes to your personal growth and opens up yourself to much more opportunities because, for example, the way you do business in Europe is completely different how it's done in UAE or how it's done in Asia. So you start thinking a bit different. And also, that's why I also have clients, for example, who are from different parts of the world, because I think you learn how to speak with people, how to, present yourself, how to follow like some specific, business ethics, for example. So it depends on the perspective, what you want. And I think the biggest attitude, no matter what you do, is not just like, oh, I'm going there to, get something. It's normally always you give something and then you get.
That's right. I think it's great. And the number one kind of answer that I get often with the challenges and struggles is, first of all, the bureaucracy. It doesn't seem like any country is simple or easy, as you said. And also you're correct too with I think with the language as well. You'll have a totally different experience with that. And I've been bad for that in the past, but I have improved upon that as well. And it's true. When I was living in different countries without knowing the language, there was definitely a number of things that I felt like I was missing out on. Again, just understanding that part of the culture and how things work, and sometimes just conversation, to just have a 5-minute conversation with somebody if you're waiting in line, and not being able to do that without having some basics of the language.
Yeah, and I want to add is just like all about your mind, right? So because being like quantum psychologist, it's all about mind in terms of, for example, I meet people that say, oh, this country is not nice, this is not nice. And of course, the more they, tell this, project this, the more as a mirror, the world shows them like these people are weird, this is broken, this doesn't work. For me, it's always to say, it's such a nice country. There's such a kind people, and no matter where I go, like people, even in the market, they are smiling, or someone always wants to help. So it's just like also shifting the perspective or mentality, how you see things, even though sometimes it's hard in terms of like you are new, you don't know anything. It's kind of, not secure, but just starting from, creating your own reality, literally.
It's true. It's amazing how our mind will create our reality, just as you said. So if we're negative, and we will always find negative things. If those days that as we say, we wake up on the wrong side of bed and it starts out as a bad day, and it just seems like we always find that one thing after another of the bad, negative things that happen. But when somebody's in a wonderful mood and they're happy, that they don't even really notice those same negative things, that they do find the good and the positive. And I like that. As you said, it's like a mirror. What you project out will come back to you.
Yeah.
And so now you're back in Poland. You were there before, and now you're back in Poland.
Yes.
What is life like, even now, how it is now compared to the last time that you were there?
Well, things changed, of course, because of some external factors, so to say. The energy,
Mhm.
the in general how things are, that is true. But from the other side, it's just like perspective, how you see things. Of course, a lot of things change because I think it's like 10 years difference in time.
Okay, so that in general, a lot of things will change over 10 years.
Of course, but also we change. So how we
Yes.
saw some things in the past, they're completely different. And it's very interesting to go back to old places, so to say, and they might
Hmm.
look different even though they are the same. Again, the confirmation that reality can be completely different. So, but in general, I would say in terms of how I'm feeling here, like nothing really changed. I mean, I've improved my language. So I kind of built up team here with the team with whom we are filming. So I'm learning lots of things like new terminology because it's completely different. But in general, I don't know. It's all about what I really learned is that the home is not somewhere. It's just you need to build this home in yourself first of all. Of course, there are places where you feel better, maybe that are matching your vibration. So how I say it, where you feel more comfortable. But in general, it doesn't matter. You can, start from nothing, from scratch, your life wherever you find yourself. It's just about how you feel inside. That's why the state, working on the state, is very important.
Right. As the saying goes, home is where the heart is.
Yeah.
And wherever your heart is, or where your heart is where you build those connections, you make that community, and that becomes home.
Yeah, that's true.
So before Poland, were you in Dubai before Poland?
Yes.
So how, like, those are very different countries.
Yeah.
How is lifestyle, just day-to-day things different between the two?
Well, actually, it depends where you live in Poland. So, if you, for example, in Warsaw, it's more alive. It's more like, it's a capital. There's so many things are going on. But for example, comparing maybe with other cities in Europe, like after, I would say, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., everything is just like closed. Nothing is working. It's like silence, especially in Germany. But in Dubai, it's never sleeping vibe. There are so many lights, and something is happening all the time. And even the networking part, for example, in Dubai, you need to attend at least 5 to 7 events. So people are not really having this kind of culture of staying at the event. That's very sad. I was organizer of one of the events, and know it's in a way a pain, right? You put so many efforts, so much efforts, and then people come, and then at a specific time they leave, then they come again, and so it's like kind of crazy thing. But this is like part of networking. While here, of course, if you made your mind to attend event, of course you're staying from 9 till until the end, for example. So
Hmm.
there's kind of difference, but also depends on the season. Like in Dubai, obviously, summertime is super hot. People are leaving, do some vacations, probably go back home. There are many expats because it's like unbearable for some, including myself. The heat is crazy, but starting from I would say September, and then when the weather is more or less nice, then the life again starts to being more noisy, exciting. What I really love is that for family, it feels very secure living in Dubai. Like you can go out at 3 a.m. and everything is fine. You feel cool. Lots of entertainment for children, and they actually welcome families. So for family, it feels quite nice. So many
Very
variety.
safe is the impression that I've always gotten from Dubai. Clean, spacious, and safe,
Yeah,
and a lot going on all the time. But
that's
there's a price for that though too, because Dubai is known to be a very expensive city to live in.
Well, nowadays, what is expensive? Something is
Oh,
like
that's
happening
true.
or changing every single day. So it's actually depends. I mean, with what to compare, right? So to go out is cheaper maybe than here, for example. But yeah, cooking or like, I don't know, some services are quite cheap actually. It's cheaper to hire someone who can clean, who can wash things than just invest in your time. While in Europe, for example, it of course would be more expensive. But it depends, of course, if to talk about accommodation, for example. Of course, here is more like range from what you can choose price wise. From the other side, when it comes to living luxury, Dubai is quite affordable. But again, it depends on the pockets. It depends what kind of lifestyle you have.
Right. And that's always I get the thing with every question is perspective. What is expensive? Well, it depends how much money you make if something's expensive or not. Or, if something, like, I don't like spicy food. And so many times I'd ask people, is this spicy? And they would say, well, yes or no. But to them, it's different than to me. So they may say no, and I might try it and be like, oh, that's still a little bit spicy. And so we always have to think of that perspective, and what every person
Yeah,
likes, because what we all like is different.
that's true. Yeah.
And so now that you're in Poland, is Poland home for a long time or temporary, or
I think it's a
what's your
temporary. Well,
plan?
actually, we were not planning to live here. It just like happened, the circumstances. Yeah, I was expecting, and there was like just happened that we had to come here, and then I had to stay, and then there was a lockdown, so we're still here. But yeah, we're planning to move. Just like thinking, what is the next destination? But I think it's also when you are changing, when you are growing, sometimes you think, okay, is it like the place I really want to stay now, or it's time for changes? And I feel like it's time for changes.
So do you have a few countries that you're thinking about?
Well, actually, I would like to go back to Dubai because of the vibe,
Okay.
and I like when something is like, lots of happening. From the other
Hmm.
side, what I appreciate in Europe is the nature and also seasons, like the change that you have. So it's always nice. So everything has like pros and cons. That's
Yeah.
why there are a lot of things to think about. But yeah, there are some options, and we're just thinking if it's still will be in Europe or maybe exploring Asia as well. Maybe, I don't know, Singapore can be also. Bali is completely different, vibes.
Oh,
But also, you
hmm.
have when you have children, it's a bit different.
Absolutely.
It's what's better for them, for their growth, development. So there are like several factors to consider.
Yeah, education and things like that. So, yeah, it's very different when we're going by ourselves, which is me. It's just me. So to me, I think it's almost worse because then I
I
think I
can
have
go.
more options. So where can I go? I can go anywhere. It's like that doesn't help. I need to narrow it down. But if I had a partner, then obviously there'd be somebody to, where do they want to go? Would he like this place or that place? And then obviously with kids, those are even more
Yeah.
decisions and things to think about. So I always say to people, it really is knowing yourself, know
Yes.
kind of what are the things that are first the non-negotiables, things that absolutely are kind of the most important. So for a lot of people, if they have kid education, healthcare, those types of things. And then what are those things that you would like to have? Like for me, a non-negotiable is the weather. I am not going to live in winter or snow. That's non-negotiable. That's why I left
I agree with
Canada.
that.
So, but then, and then, yeah, and then it's finding the things that are somewhat negotiable. And as you said too, even you can decide on one country, but from one city to another city, even within that country can be very different.
Yeah, absolutely. It's different, I would say, energy,
Hmm.
vibrations, people, opportunities as well. Because when you live, for example, I don't know, in the capital, you have more opportunities. You meet completely different people. Maybe it's more international. While if you go out, I don't know, village, or maybe even if it's a bigger city, but still different, maybe more, traditional, conservative. So even sometimes, the language can be different with the dialect.
Yes.
So considering all these things, like in Germany, there is also even school starts in different, dates, or they have like holidays or specific regulations. It's all depends on what part you would choose. So it's a lot of things to.
Yeah. So it does make it a little bit more challenging in one way, but also the other way, if somebody's really kind of set on one country, they know that they have different types of lifestyles
Mm,
within that same country.
yeah,
So I was just speaking with someone earlier and in Germany, and she said that her son goes to school from about, I think it was 8 or 8:30 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. And
yeah.
that's when they're done school for the day. And I was like, what? There still needs to be the whole afternoon. And they just have it in the morning.
Yeah,
And
My daughter as well. I mean, sometimes they have like until 16, like, but they start at 10, 20 or something. But there are days when she starts very early, like at 7:45, and then at 10:20 she's already free. And then you have to
And
figure out what to do, right? So
right. And that just like that's so crazy to me because I remember with my daughter when she was in school, I think they started, it was about 8:30 or 9 when school started, and I'm sure it ended around 3:15, 3:30. Like it was, and even then I thought, okay, well, that time most people work till 5. We still had to
yeah.
do some type of care or activities after. I couldn't imagine the short days like that. It's just seems very strange in my mind.
Yeah, but schools actually provide different activities, so you can actually a little bit prolong the day. But still,
Hmm.
yes, if someone is working and has to stay at work until, I don't know, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., it's challenging. So
Right. And is it you have one daughter or do you have more than one?
yeah, I have to.
Two? Two. And how did they adjust with moving to different countries? Um, or are they still quite young and it's been okay so far?
Well, the older one, she was relocating, I think, a lot. But again, it depends a lot, right? Because I have been speaking with she's now teenager, and
Mm,
she started her own business when she was 7, and the whole life she has been traveling because her parents have been relocating the whole life. And I think now she's 16 and they bought a house. But 16 years, like since the birth, they were like traveling all the time. And so with my daughters, I think it's great in a way that they are learning these cultures and also speaking 3 languages at this moment. But I see that there's kind of resistance or more like preference to a specific language, food,
mm.
or like where they want to be. And this is like interesting. They are very different. That's why it's very interesting to see that one, for example, wants to speak more like German, another one doesn't, she refuses to speak Polish and she speaks either English or German. So it's
Okay.
very, that's why I don't know what will be in the future, but I hope that it will help them to, adapt better. Or, sometimes when we spend life just like thinking, okay, this is my world and this is the only thing that exists, and you have kind of fear or insecurity to, think out of the box or do something out of your comfort zone. But when you are like preparing yourself for a bit different life, you say, okay, why not? I can try. It's kind of
Mhm.
naturally and easy, hopefully. From the other side, it's also, thinking children, like psychological wise, right? They need this kind of stability, and because it's stressful to go. And I see for my daughter was quite hard to adapt to school because she doesn't know the language, because she's like feeling, okay, I'm looking different. Yeah, kind of completely on a different page at this moment. So it took for her a bit longer to adapt. Now she's feeling better, and that's why thinking and planning the next relocation, it's already taking into consideration, okay, how would she feel, how to prepare her in advance. So yeah, lots of things to think about.
It is quite different. And knowing, I mean, kids, they're people and personalities are very different as well, where some easily adapt, easily look forward to change, and others like more of that consistency, not as much change. And it's tough to find the balance. I think though it's great opportunity for them in living in different places and stuff. It makes them, I think, more resilient in many ways, and just openness or even having more empathy
Yeah,
because they can
totally.
think back and be, oh, I remember when it was my first day going to either this school or this school, or I remember when I was the new one, or I remember when I didn't know the language or couldn't speak it. And so they have more empathy for people who are going through things that they went through themselves, and they're going through a lot of different things. It's not just one school, same friends their whole life, same city, same everything.
Yeah.
So,
I think also learning tolerance and diversity, that there are different
mhm,
ways, different people, different ways to do maybe even the same things, different
absolutely.
flavors, like
Hmm.
really not being like focused on just what this is the only right way how you can live life, achieve something. There are so many different ways how you can achieve a goal even.
Hmm. And even like as you said, just openness to achieve a goal, or people's thoughts and beliefs, whether it's political, religious, whatever else it may be. It's to realize, oh, well, you have this belief or thought because this is where you live. This was the lifestyle. This is how it is here. I can understand that. Doesn't necessarily mean, and I've had conversations with people. It's like, oh, I can understand why you think that now because they've said why. And I said, well, my experience has been this. So this is why I believe different than the other person. And it's knowing that we can agree to disagree because our beliefs, they're both right and they're both wrong to each other because they're just our personal experience. And with having so many different experiences in so many different countries, there people I think become more open, more well-rounded, and more understanding.
Yeah.
So it's great. So hopefully wherever you choose to go next, they will love it and enjoy it.
Yeah, hope hope as well. Like, but it's also a journey. It's exciting always to explore new things, how things will work. And sometimes I think it's also a refresh, like restart of your life when you also have, it's never really defined how the life is going to evolve 100%.
Right.
Every moment we can choose completely different scenarios for ourselves, and meaning that you're never stuck, meaning that you are never, going to stay where you are unless you choose to. And
Mm,
relocations, I always like feel like, okay, it's a lot of work to do. It's stressful, and like packing at some point I was like, oh, I'm so professional in packing boxes or sorting things. But also what I
mm,
learned is like, not having attachment to things. Because every time you move, you obviously have to declutter, you have to let some things go. And that's how step by step also taught me to let go of so many things and don't have attachment, just back and go.
yeah, it's stuff. The stuff doesn't matter. We'll get more stuff. We'll get rid of that stuff. We'll get new stuff. Um, and it is in a way, I was at a seminar, oh gosh, it was probably 20 years ago now or something like that. And from the moment the speaker said it, and I don't remember who it was, but I remember he said, either you own your stuff or your stuff owns you. I was
Yes.
like, oh, that's a good one. And then when I moved from Canada and I was selling everything, and a woman who bought a bunch of furniture and stuff said, how can you be selling this stuff? Like it's a beautiful, it's amazing. Like I love it. Obviously, because she was buying it, she liked it. And I said to her, I said, well, it's stuff. I can buy another really nice couch and another bedroom suite. And I said, if my house burned down tomorrow, it's gone. Like it's stuff.
Yeah.
And we can't really be, obviously with some things there's sentimental value, of course, but I'm sorry, a couch is a couch unless maybe it was your great grandmother's or something like that. But most things, it's really not that important. And I find the less stuff we have, especially because I do move quite a bit, like you, the easier it makes the move.
Yeah.
I still get rid of a bunch of stuff. I'm to the point, I think I've lived in about 5 countries right now. And the last time I was thinking, in a way, I'm a little bit tired of giving away stuff and then rebuying it and then giving it away and rebuying it.
Well, from the other side, it's like this is like the old version of yourself that you leave as well. And I think my husband learned it very tough way because we're completely different. I mean, we were the same, I think, but at some point, because I started to relocate a little bit like earlier, for me, it was okay to let things go. While for him, like having all these things, keeping, was so hard and even painful, I would say. But now I think we are more or less on the same page. And next time when we are moving together, it's not just like such a big pain. But I think what I wanted to say is that leaving this behind you, it's really leaving some part of yourself that maybe doesn't serve you anymore, or maybe it's just like we're fitting to this kind of place, country, city, this who you are. But when you move, even if you need to buy everything new again, this is like already a new version. You feel yourself different. You're new, building a
Right.
new personality. And I don't think when we move, we want to take ourselves the way we are because it's
Right.
so hard to adapt. It's hard to leave. And when we want to have everything like lighter, everything easier, for quicker to adapt and try new things. I think it's even like nice process as well to go and have this new shopping experience. Of course, it's not about overconsumptions. You don't need to buy so many things. It's not about that,
Mhm,
but just like really have this fresh start and allowing
mhm.
yourself to start also building. Like normally when we move, I think we also have this, okay, I'm starting a new life that should be better, like need to level up
Right. Mhm.
and bringing.
And sometimes yeah, as you said too, it could be even just a lamp, but it's a different style that now it's like, oh, that's really nice. That's, whatever kind of country we're in, there's different styles of things or different colors. So it is like that improvement of, oh, this is nice, this is new, this is different. And it is nice to have that.
It's like learning about yourself as well more. It's like, oh, I didn't
Mm,
know that I like it. I didn't know I would like to have this kind of color or this kind of thing. So it's also, we have so many facets of ourselves. And I think with every move and relocation, we're just like peeling this onion. And I would say better a diamond, polishing the diamond and seeing what kind of, part of it is going to evolve this in this new journey.
I like that, the diamond. So we're brushing away the bits we don't need anymore to polish up and to shine even more. I like that. Every move we're becoming a shinier diamond.
Yeah.
And so with your work, you obviously do, I'm assuming, a lot of work online to give you that flexibility and freedom to travel around and relocate.
Yes. I mean, now I have a big project as we are filming documentaries. So sometimes people come here
Mhm.
for filming, sometimes we are traveling. But in general, yes, when it comes to like workshops, meetings, it's all virtual. So it's a great thing. And I'm trying to build like as much as possible online, virtually wise, even though I like to meet people face to face, of course. From the other side, sometimes it's not possible and it gives you so much more flexibility that you are not really dependent on one specific place. That's why, it's of course life experience is always better. From the other side, it's great to have this technology changes, because then you are kind of, yeah, today I want to go to another city and work there, so why not?
Right. And especially with having a family and children, that sometimes it's nice. You can still be working online, still doing things. You don't always have to be gone or gone as much. And you can balance that out with, okay, now I need to go film a documentary, going to be gone for a while. I don't know if they come with you sometimes or depending upon how long they are. And other times it's no, still working, but doing a lot of stuff from home. So you're able to spend more time with them that way.
Yeah. Well, it's always, people say you can have it all. From the other side, I don't think it's really possible in terms of like ideally wise how you think it should be.
Hmm.
because it's never like this. It's always you. I don't want to say sacrifice, but you say prioritize more something. You want to have career, you understand that, okay, I have less time for kids. If you want just to
Mhm.
spend time with your kids, then you understand that, okay, then probably at this point of my life, I cannot dedicate myself fully. Doesn't mean though that you have to say no to everything. You still can spend a couple of hours per week doing what you love or working even, and this kind of flexibility of having business or I don't know, something online can give you this opportunity, because
Mhm.
I think it's more just important, really, as you mentioned, to be know who you are, like be yourself, know what you want, and not allowing any part of yourself struggle, because when it's
Right.
trying to shut it up, it doesn't work. It will
No.
come out at this, area of your life, can affect your relationships, maybe can affect your, I don't know, communications or work, because
Mhm.
we'll be always feeling unsatisfied with something. And sometimes people don't even understand why they feel anxious, why they feel like something is missing in life, just because simply you're not allowing yourself feeling, you're not allowing yourself to really self-express yourself fully. And it doesn't mean that you have to give 100. It can be like, at least 10, but it's
Mhm.
already increase. It can be 50 or 70, but then you have kind of parts of what you want to have in your life and experience it fully.
Right. And I mean, it's so true because we all have 24 hours in a day. That's what we have. And where we choose or how we choose to split up that time it affects everything, right? If I spend 10 hours a day working, well, I have 12 hours left. How do I split up that time? Or if I'm, wanting to spend 8 hours with my kids, then I have those other hours. And so in a way, I mean, I struggle with that same thing of you can have it all. Well, we can, but if we realize that some of those things are going to get 30% of our time, some things might get 20% of our time, some things might get 60% of our time. And if we're okay with that, then yes, we can have it all, but not everything can have 100% because as you said, it'll eventually will it'll affect something, our health, our relationships, our work. We just short term we can go all in for a while, but eventually it just doesn't work. So it is knowing ourselves, prioritizing what's important. And I love that you said it's a phase in our life because we have so many phases,
Yeah.
whether it's age or just with kids or the location we're at. Those are all what I call chapters of our life. And those they changed. And life is our book, and we've got many chapters, and our energy can be spent prioritized on different things at different times in our life.
Yeah. Well, actually, the whole life is also kind of a chapter of a soul. So
Hmm.
it's all about with what kind of chapters are you going to fill it in. So choose
Hmm.
wisely, and wisely meaning just really starting to shifting this mindset that you actually creating what you want. It's not that something is just happening to you, or some people really used to go, I don't know, to fortune tellers, or someone can tell you
Yeah.
exactly what is the best. I will do this, I will choose this job, or I will relocate only if you promise me that this will be the best experience. Otherwise, I'm not going for this. And then it's very like it's a struggle, and I went through this. Like you don't know whether you have to do it or not because it's such a huge decision and change. But truth being told, even if you are told that okay, this is going to happen, maybe if you really stick with this program, but in reality, it can be completely different because it's
Mm.
really up to you.
Right. And how we get there if we're so focused. So it reminds me of I had a friend one time. He was telling me, like we were kind of talking about psychics and things like that. And his friend went and saw a psychic, and she said, "You're going to marry a blonde woman. You are going to get married. She's going to be blonde," whatever else was said. He would not even date anybody who wasn't blonde. because he's like, oh no, I'm supposed to marry a blonde woman. She's not blonde. I'm not dating. And I said, that's crazy because you don't know who you're going to meet or how you're going to meet her. And maybe she's not naturally a blonde anyway. So, you could date somebody, meet other people, then there meet great new guy friends, and through that guy friend meet who the wife is supposed to be. You can't just all of a sudden have these blinders on, because then you miss out on so many opportunities and potentially what, in that case, he thought should be what his future wife was going to be blonde. And I just thought that is just a bad way to look at it because you're missing out on so much.
Yeah, well, that's how we're programmed, right? Be a specific scenario, and in a way, it's like not taking this responsibility. But if you take this responsibility, it's not a bad thing. It's just meaning that it gives you more freedom to go, how you want to create your life there in this new city or this new country, what kind of people to meet, what kind of work to have, and really truthfully believe that you can make it.
I agree, and it is a choice. It's a choice to do that. And so you do work with a number of people. How do you help individuals, and what types of things do you do to work with them?
Well, basically reprogramming the way you think. Well, would say quantum psychology. Sometimes people are asking, what is this, right? I think the difference between quantum psychology and traditional one is that, of course, the foundation is a traditional one, but traditional works only with the current lifetime. So it's our like behaviors, way of thinking, some traumas, it's childhood, it's parents. While quantum psychology is working on 6 different layers, it goes beyond this lifetime. It goes like more in like our family lines and our reincarnations. It's also universal, galactical. There are many layers, because sometimes when people come and say, oh, I have issues with money, but it cannot be just because of like work or the way you think. The layers can be so much deeper that the person cannot even realize why it's happening. And like the philosophy behind is that the world is totally fair. So where you are now is actually exactly where you're supposed to be. But as I said, doesn't mean that you have to stay there, right? So working on yourself and cleaning, I would say, the subconscious codes or programs that we inherited or we just believe or imprinted, just cleaning all these things, heal yourself, like your heart particularly, can really make it faster for you to really start designing what you want in life. And it works great for individuals, whether they want to change their life. And literally drawing, like neurographics, is it's not really a drawing or painting. It's really scientifically created method of how to create new neuron systems in your mind. And basically, when you're creating new neuron systems, obviously you start thinking different. If, for example, you are on a specific level now, let's say living in the same city or country the whole your life, but all of a sudden you want to dramatically change something, it's not possible being the same person who you are nowadays. It definitely requires so many changes on so many levels. And I think the hardest part for people is embodiment of this new identity, because we have so many fears, we have so many anxieties and fear of unknown. And just by releasing it and state, that's what the most important, how you feel, like, let's say, most of the time when you are awake specifically, and this kind of scenarios you bring into life. And the same with the organizations, because everything starts from leadership and how it goes, down. Is it empowered? Is it like disempowered? What kind of scenario the organization is going to take? Are they going to the next level? If not, okay, what is stopping, and what kind of level? Why employees or managers are not really happy? Where is the leadership is in a way not efficient enough? So it's basically this direction. But documentaries is just the way of self-expression, because very passionate about women empowerment as well. So I'm creating documentaries about successful women from different parts of the world, by the way.
Excellent. Excellent. It's fascinating how we are very different people individually, but when we get past that a little bit, we are all the same in so many ways, but yet down to that cellular level, so different.
Yeah.
So if people were interested in working with you, Valerie, what would be the best way for them to connect with you?
Well, we can leave maybe somewhere the social media links. So happy to connect and to really explore, because everything is changing. The world changed so much. And I think that's why for people it's very hard a little bit to adapt. But at the same time, it's also, it makes us free if we choose to be free and not being attached to the old world, so to say.
Mhm.
But it requires some kind of work, of course.
Of course, or old self. You know,
Yeah,
when people say, "Oh, you've changed," and I think we, even though we don't realize it, we always change. Like everybody who's listening is at least 90%. I should never say everybody, but 90%. They're not the same person they were 10 years ago, not the same 20 years ago.
or even
Like,
yesterday.
and not yeah, not yesterday, but especially those years. So, well,
Yeah,
what we'll do is we'll leave the links to all your social media in the show notes below to make it easy for everybody to connect with you. And I just wanted to say thank you very much for your time today. We really appreciate it, and I'm sure the listeners got some valuable information.
thank you very much.